Of course, after the Mandamanos, I'm quite sure one thing that Kenya wants is something to boost the economic reforms or turnaround, because we have been reeling from the COVID-19 pandemic, a long electioneering period, and now we have Mandamanos with us. So we are looking at a company that has decided to empower not only Kenya but Africa, but Kenya is the entry point. I'm talking about the I.B.U group, and I'm joined by the president, Dr. Usman Zafar. And also we have Kelvin Majau, who is an African representative of Belobaba Technology. I hear it's an Estonian firm. Yes. Gentlemen, karibuni sana. But to begin with you, the president, I.B.U, tell us something about I.B.U and why you have not only chosen Africa, you've chosen Kenya as the entry point.
So first of all, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here on the State TV channel.
Welcome.
So I.B.U Investment is a Dubai-based company, and most of our projects are basically for African region. So we have spent more than 3 years. We have invested heavily on the research and development work for that what Africa need. So how we can bring transformation in the areas of smart cities, healthcare, digital transformation, youth development, agriculture, how to have like affordable housing scheme, and many other areas. So we found that it's a very promising area, and especially the youth, they need something different, you know, like to make Africa very special. So we have identified more than 90 projects in all these domains, and the allocation of budget is around $6 billion to start with. And why to Kenya? This is a very interesting question. I mean, we have our friend, our local partners, Mr. Kelvin in Dubai, and he showed me some of the interviews of His Excellency, our president, talking about digital transformation, smart cities, and affordable housing, and that was really very, very exciting. So I live in Dubai from past 22 years, and I have been a part of the journey for smart cities or e-government implementation, and Dubai have done a fantastic job. And one of the major reasons for that, where we are right now as Dubai, is basically His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, leadership behind it. So I think once you have the commitment from the leadership, and then you have an international partner, you are really able to achieve what you're looking for. And this is what I'm looking for on this trip in Kenya, meeting different partners, meeting different universities, different stakeholders, looking at everything like very carefully. And I'm overexcited that we can really do a lot, and we can really transform Kenya into a next upcoming, the state of what you call the Africa region.
Yeah. Kelvin, looking at your entry point, and before we started the show, we were talking off the cuff, and you said that you have already started engagement with a few. You're supposed to meet the Nairobi governor. You've met officials from the KCA universities. Tell us about that.
Thank you for that. We've met both the public and the private sector. When you look at most of the projects that you want to deal in or to invest in, talking as the I.B.U group and also the other partners that Dr. Usman came representing, they both touch on the private and also on the public sector. Like this morning, we've had a very, very interactive meeting at KC University, and we look forward to engage also with a few other governors and a few other government bodies. And also, most important also, we would also be happy to have a discussion with KBC as our Kenyan broadcast, whereby we can link our Kenyan broadcaster with international media houses, and most important, use the Kenyan broadcaster in branding the country as an investment.
That's a very interesting point, but allow me to cut you. I.B.U group has decided $6 billion to be spent in Africa, and their entry point is Kenya, and among others is quite something that is interesting a lot of presidents. I'm talking about former President Uhuru Kenyatta and also the current President William Ruto, affordable housing. But let's hear it from the experts themselves. Kelvin, apologies, before we crossed over to Parliament, you were talking about some of the partnership that you've been able to lay down so that you can prepare for these smart cities, smart transportation, youth development, agriculture sector improvement? Take us through that.
Thank you. We are still continuing with the various institutions and discussions, and we are grateful to the institutions that have opened a door for us. One of the groups that we had a very good discussion on, that was yesterday morning, is we had a discussion with Costa Homes that also have a plan to develop 200,000 homes. And basically what we are saying as I.B.U. group is that it is possible. And Mr. President here is going to explain maybe more into details, but we are saying and we are telling the President, I.B.U. group has a vision of establishing a fund in partnership with the government that is going to make sure that the 1 million homes dream becomes a reality. And most important, introduce something that has never been seen in the country and also in the continent of Africa, where we have a multi-generational mortgage, where someone can get a mortgage and you pay your mortgage over a period of 40 to 60 years.
You're talking about 40 years?
40 good years, even in some instances up to 60 years, especially for social housing, where you can pay for 20 years, your son can pay for 20 years, and the third generation can pay for 20 years. Because maybe after 60 years, maybe you may not be having the income that you expected, and maybe, I'm not saying you'll not be alive, but peradventure you are not there. But if you are there, you can still continue paying. Something that is going to be transformative, and most important, also something that is helpful to our president. Remember, when the president launched the Hustler Fund, people are like, why are you giving us 500 shillings? Why are you giving us 1,000 shillings? Like me, I was given a limit of 1,500 shillings. And true to it, I took it. I give it to someone who started a business. He sells eggs, fried eggs on the road. And he was able to repay that particular loan within a very short period of time. But now, through I.B.U. Group, WBH and Belobaba, a digital bank, we are saying we can raise for the president up to $5 billion for investment in Hustler Fund under PPP and also BOT analysis or BOT basis.
$5 billion.
$5 billion, that means if you're getting 500 shillings, you can get 10,000 shillings. If you're getting 1,000 shillings, you can get 100,000 shillings. And this can be something incremental that is going to get our young people from the streets. It pains when you see at times when our leaders take advantage of the young people simply because they don't have a job, and you give them 500 shillings, that is about $2 or $3 or thereabout, and you find our young people on the streets. But if they are trained on digital technology, they are given funding, enough funding, trained even on businesses, then at the end of the day, there can be a transformation for our young people. But the president can explain much more on what we need to do for this nation.
And President Usman, looking at, I saw the letter that you had addressed the president, and I see there's a lot of partnership and a lot to benefit Kenyans. Kelvin is talking about a boost in the Hustler Fund. This is something Kenyans would want to hear. We're talking about 1 million homes with a duration of 40. Take us through that.
So basically what I.B.U. have done is we have developed a consortium of different international companies who are ready to do projects with us on PPP-based model, which is public-private partnership. And it's not only basically the affordable housing, it's also about bringing the transformation. So when I look into Nairobi, I mean, it's a fantastic city, but there are issues here, like in terms of transportation, in terms of, getting, for example, attraction to the foreign businesses to the to the country. So what we work is basically on a 360-degree angle. So we would love to basically bring all these investments into these areas in the country, and we also help basically the local companies and the youth also to train themselves on these innovative technologies. So like Mr. Kelvin mentioned a couple of companies named, like when we have this, for example, one of the very unique banking system, digital banking. So everyone talks about the digital banking and the fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat. So we need to look into basically what sort of laws are available in the countries and how we can match it with the international standard. So there are a lot of crypto investors who are ready to basically put money through the digital banking into the system. So we're going to bring all these type of basically an ecosystem, I must call it, to the country. And this helps you to boost basically your tourism. It helps you to attract the foreign investors, and it helps to brand basically Kenya itself as one of the favorite like destinations for the investments for an SME or medium to large scale sectors.
And still on the same, President Usman, the agriculture sector. Looking at the drought situation in the country and looking at the gains that we've been able to achieve in the few years, and your boost now, because I would like to see exactly what you as a company are chipping in matters of agriculture, which is quite an emotive issue in Kenya. We have seen companies, even fertilizer companies, I've seen companies like Elgon Kenya decide to blend fertilizer just to give their farmers and their customers something quite different. What exactly are you coming in with that will help the agriculture?
So we are looking for basically different JV opportunities with the land owners. So we have a couple of visits in the Nairobi nearby outstreaks, and we see, I mean, the lands are, you know, quite good from an agriculture perspective. So I have been to a couple of like tea farms in a nearby area, and there are a lot of value proposition available from an investment perspective. So what our idea is basically, so it's an agriculture country, so why not to basically boost it further, help the farmers or help the landlords to bring in extra revenues. So it's not only basically investing and bringing more agriculture, but it's also helping them in exporting it to the other part of the world. So that's the ecosystem we want to bring into the country. So like we have a very large group from Cyprus called I.B.U group of companies, and they're also very keen to look into basically agriculture, also this affordable housing projects we are talking about. They have developed a series of resorts in Cyprus as a second destination. So that's some of the areas where all our partners are very keen to look into it. Similarly, how we can work with the State Bank to bring the digital banking in the country itself. On our youth development side, like I sit at the board of several universities around the world. So I've been talking to a couple of universities here locally. Why not to set up our own, you know, center of blockchain excellence or center of executive development? Let's train this youth and export them. When you export them, they bring the revenue back to the country, and when they come back, they bring extra skills as well. And this is not something where you really need to invest a lot of money. It's basically the direction. Somebody, you know, like from the senior politician side, maybe the governor or state head or the president, take, you know, those initiatives under their project management office and push these universities to come up with these innovative programs. And the world is in demand, and we can give like guarantee to these youngsters that, you know, once they are trained up to a certain level, we can help them in getting jobs in the Middle East or in Europe or in other parts of the world. So that's our plan, is basically for looking into the unemployment here. Similarly, why not to have like a metro in Nairobi? I mean, you look at the, you know, like it takes a lot of time people to commute from one point to another point. So if we have the data available, that how many passengers, how many citizens, how many people will be using either the metro or metro bus, so that infrastructure can be developed on a PPP-based model. And the more you improve the infrastructure, the more you have these, you know, like facilities to attract the investors. So that basically it helps you to boost the economy. So that is what we are trying to explore and see that what areas, who can help us, who can be our local partners, and how we can expedite it very fast.
And Kelvin, still on that, because looking at what you guys are doing is that more or less you're boosting each and every sector that you will be looking at. And there is a boost in smart cities.
Yes.
We have Konza. Kenya has, as a country, we've moved a few steps ahead of other countries. And if at all you are also talking about smart cities, it means that's a welcome boost in terms of technopolis we have in the country.
That's a very good question. When you look at Kenya, Kenya is quite advanced, especially in terms of technology. And I believe in Africa, if we don't rank maybe number 1, we are maybe among the top 5. I'm saying that because I've not done enough research. But within East Africa, Kenya is leading in technology. Talk about Konza City. The plan we have for Konza City, and also the president the other day requested the Kericho County governor to get a piece of land or to allocate a piece of land for doing a software city. The reason for the software city or doing the software city is basically to get the hackers and you make them more productive. I think in Kericho, we in that side of the country, we have the best hackers, for lack of a better word. And as a responsible government is to ask yourself, what can you do to make this technology? Some of them are not even trained, it's just by birth and all that. What can you do to channel this gift into usable or into better use? Now, our proposal for Konza City and even the software city is to get investors under PPP basis or BOT. PPP basis means is a public-private partnerships where the government will not be borrowing. If it is maybe a company to do, like already there is a company that is doing a university at the Konza City, the South Korea University. Maybe you want to do a smart hospital. Because within the smart city, one of the things, smart city is basically incorporating technology in everything that we do. One of the things is to do smart hospitals. Smart hospitals is whereby you don't need physically a doctor at the hospital for you to be treated. You can walk in, there is a booth that examines you, does the prescription, diagnoses you, and then on the other end, there is a dispensing machine for medicine. It even gives you the next appointment. And
Kenya will have this.
The system will also remind you that you're supposed to come for appointment. Yes, those are some of the things that we are that we are also recommending. Another thing is setting up local companies, even at the Konza City, that are based on technology. For example, a company that does smart bikes. One of the partners that we are working with through the I.B.U group is a company from Pakistan that is leading in the smart motorbikes technology. Smart motorbikes means you get your bike and you can go for 500 kilometers with one charge. Ask the revolution that is going to bring to this country. Look at the cost of fuel right now. Most of the bikes that our young people are riding today on the streets, some of them they are on loan. Others are contracted. You have to give the owner of the bike a certain amount of the day, but all the cost of operation are on you. But the beauty of this other one, and this one can be done even next week or immediately. We can have a company set up in this country that can do smart bikes, and also smart cars that necessarily do not use when you go to countries like Dubai, there are vehicles that don't use a driver. They take you to a specific location, and they also electric cars. So we can have, there is a company that is willing to come and set up a base here in the country.
Okay. President, looking at, there's something that you also mentioned, and I found it quite interesting in terms of branding Kenya and also the free zone industries.
Yes. I think this is something super important for Kenya to attract the foreign investments. So, like Dubai have done it, it's one of the best examples. We got several free zones, media free zones, only for the media channels. We got like internet free zones for the internet companies. So you have all the headquarters of the world companies, Microsoft, Cisco, everyone is there, their headquarters are there. So industrial free zone to set up an industry and create more employment opportunities. So, I think Kenya need to look into this quite aggressively, that how we can have basically different type of free zones to accommodate international investors, what sort of like PPP models we have or we can develop for the foreign investor itself. Because Kenya can be like an entry point, as you said in the beginning, for the other African countries. So let's say if we have one of the best, artificial intelligence university over here, everyone will come and learn from here. Why to go to any other part of the world? Or if you're training on blockchain technology, Kenya, by the way, is one of the early adopters for blockchain technology. And that helps you to basically solve your issue for the revenue collection, for example. How to take the maximum tax out of, like the people. So those are basically the reforms which you really need to work out to attract the foreign investments, and we are there to help on these initiatives.
And maybe you can finalize with the partnerships, maybe that you can partner with the county government as well.
Yes, yeah, that's the whole idea. That because unless you don't have a strong leadership behind you from a political perspective, it's very difficult to basically move things ahead anywhere in any part of the world. So we are keen to develop those partnerships with the government department, with the private institutions, to make sure that whatever the plans we make a roadmap, we implement it on time.
Wrap it up in 10 seconds as a final word.
This is a great time for our country, and we ask the various government agencies, the private sectors, it's a high time to embrace technology, and also it's a high time to take advantage of what is happening in the world so that Kenya can be the leader. One of the things I saw in Dubai is they have a technology that builds a 5-bedroom villa in 24 hours.
5 bedrooms.
It means you can take your family to the village, they go greet the grandmother, then the following day they come back home. On coming back home, you have given them a new house. That is the future, whether we like it.
Are we going to get there as Africa? Some things we are always there.
I saw an estate of 11,000 homes, townhouses that was delivered in 11 months. It means every month 1,000 houses. That is the future. Smart hospitals, smart education. Last time we were here and I was asking the various education players, why do you need school uniform to go to school for our children? That is the future. Our kids can learn from home. Our kids, even one of the things we are saying at the university this morning, there are jobs that may be relevant in the next 10 years. In the next 10 years, you may not need an accountant in your company. Yet we have so many people that are doing accounting as a course. So the point is, whether we like it or not, the world is moving. Let's take advantage of where the world is moving to. And as I.B.U, we have a dream not only for Kenya, but also for Africa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I've been handling matters how we can revive our economy, and the I.B.U group says that we are investing $6 billion here in Africa, and guess what? They are beginning right here. The entry point is Kenya, and it's a good thing because we were speaking with the president himself, President Dr. Usman Zafar, who is the president of I.B.U Group, and Kelvin Majau, who is the Africa rep, when we talk about Belobaba technology. And a lot in the different sectors that they will be having a keen interest in. Indeed, thank you so much for watching. My name is Njue, and now I'm giving the baton to the Kiswahili desk with Kurunzi Mashinani and Tamrini. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Let's continue the conversation on social media.